Okay, we have our all our parts here to build a set of double doors for our generator shed. We've cut them all out. We have the two exterior door panels here and the interior door panels, the OSB to give it extra strength, and then the solid rails. Okay, the first step in building a shed door is to take the inner panel, which is made out of oriented strand board or plywood, 7/16 inch thick. We're going to attach the two outside rails, just like that, and then we're going to attach these inner rails in between them. And we'll just do this with regular construction screws. So what we're going to do is flip this over and screw it off. Like that. Okay, when you're building a door, one of the most important things is that these inner rails are flush with the outside edges of your inner door panel, so that when the door opens and closes, it doesn't hit the jamb of the door, or it doesn't hit if you have two doors, it doesn't hit the other door. Verify that this inner panel is exactly the dimensions on the plans, and then make sure that these 2x4s fit and are flush. So we flush those up and we'll screw them off. And then you can go through and put 2 or 3 more, depending on the size of your door. I'd put one about every 6 inches. Keep it good and solid. After you screw off the first side, you go to the second. This is how it looks right now. We're going to go and screw this one off, and then we'll put these in between. Okay, now that the two side rails are attached, we need to take these intermediate ones and stick them on. And this one happens to fit perfect. If it doesn't fit perfect, remember, it's more important to have these edges flush than to to have this exactly whatever dimension you thought it was, because sometimes the wood's not exactly straight or wasn't planed good. So make sure that gets in between. The point is, if it's not, then you can shave off a little bit and stick it on there. This one's just a hair loose, but my outside edges are flush, which is what you want. So I'm just flipped this over so you could see it, but you stick those on there, flip it up, and then make these flush just like we did before, and then you screw these off in the same way. We do that, and then we'll repeat that over here, and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, we've installed our 4 rails by screwing through from the other side with 1.5-inch screws, and those can just be regular grabber screws. But for the outside, we're going to screw that on. We're going to use a higher performance deck screw, and the reason for that is because they won't rust. They're made to not rust, which the rusting will go down and make a mess on the front of your door. So the outside panel for this door design is 1.5 inches larger than, and I'll show it to you here. It's 1.5 inches larger all the way around. You can see on the edges here it's 1.5 inches. And so, since you can't stick your see underneath to see that 1.5 inches all the way around, is what we're going to do is a little framing trick is take our tape measure, you set it on there. You can feel it, make it about even it up as good as you can, and then take your tape measure and measure out 1.5 inches push that to the rail, and then move this over till it's 1.5 inches on both ends, as far apart as you can. The farther apart you get, the more accurate it is. And you just double check it several times because it moves every time you touch it. And then you do that on the ends as well. So, and you'll just keep going around this. Well, at least on 2 of the sides. You can double check it on the other side until they both of them, or all of them, read 1.5 inches. Okay, I have my 1.5 inches all the way around between my 2x4 and the top, and so now I'm going to use these nicer screws to screw it in so that I don't have my paint runs. And what I'm going to do is put in a screw here and a screw here on opposing corners, and then we'll flip it over and just double check visually that we did the right thing with the measurements. So, and if you screw about 1 inch in from where the 2x4 on the other side is going to be, then this screw head will actually be covered by the trim that goes around the shed. So that trim is 3.5 inches, so that'll be just perfect. The trim line will be right here, so you won't see any screws on the face of your door. So double check it, that second one, before you screw it off, because things move when you touch them. And put this one in. Okay, we have our 2 corners set, so we're just going to flip it over and double check our measurements. Measure twice, cut once. So I still have 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. You can see that, 1.5 inches. All the way around. It's looking good. And there's a little bit of play in the plans. If you're a 1/16 off, it'll work good. So we'll take it, put it back, and then we'll take our the rest of our screws, and we're going to measure in 3 inches, like we talked about before, so that these screw heads will be covered by the trim pieces. And we're going to put a screw every 6 inches. So we're going to screw this off, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is installing the trim on the door. Okay, now that we've got the siding installed on the outside of the doors, our next step is to install trim around the edges. And you can do decorative trim in the middle if you want, but we've cut these pieces the width of the outside panel, and we're going to screw these on first, and then after these are screwed on and locked, we'll measure this distance just so we get it perfect, and then we'll install these 2 pieces. Okay, we've screwed on our top and bottom rails of the door, and so our next step is to measure this distance here, and then cut these pieces to the length that they need to be, so that they look good and we don't have to caulk so much. So we've already measured these and cut them. We're going to set them in like that. flush up the edges, and then go ahead and put screws down the side of it. Remember to hold your screw back so that you hit that 2x4 rail that's on the other side of the door, on the inside of the door, and make sure that you're flush on the outsides. So if you hold them over about 2 inches, it's perfect. Remember to do each end first, and then you can come and do them in the field. The reason for that is so that you can make sure that both ends are flush, and the middle will take care of itself. There's that, and then do the other side, and your door will be ready to go.